Hello and welcome back to Guitars and Music Tech. This is 2022, our first episode, so I hope everybody is good and hope this year will be the better one for everyone. So this episode, we're going to be talking about music. The podcast is called Guitars and Music Tech, so we better talk about music. We talked about guitars before, so now comes the big question. That is an obvious answer for everybody, I think. What is music? Well, you might ask yourself, really? What is music? Well, it's any sound you hear and gives you some type of enjoyment or pleasure. Is that music? Called music to my ears, you know that? So, is that it? Not much. We're going to look at it a little bit deeper and see the properties of music. What defines music is it's the soundtrack of life. You know, without music, imagine watching a movie with no music or sound. Music also is our memories. It's our passion, our emotions. Sometimes it makes us cry. It makes us laugh. It moves us like nothing else could. Some people think that music is their life. Music has no boundaries. No translations is needed. It's invisible. Yeah, it's understood and it's timeless. And it lives forever. And it's everywhere. Whether you like it or not, it's still there. Music is a passing moment in time. You can't touch it, but it somehow touches you. Excellent. I mentioned a few properties of music and the effect of music on you, but still, we did not say what is music exactly. Well, according to the dictionary, music is an art of sound in time that expresses ideas and emotions in significant form through the elements of rhythm, melody, harmony, and color. Okay, that is the definition in the dictionary. I don't get it. Well, we know pieces of music, we listen to that, but what is it really? We're going to discuss it and look at it in a different way. First of all, it's sounds, right? It's sounds that you enjoy. We consider them music. So why is that some sounds are considered music? Most of the time when we study music, we forget the big picture of things and we get so consumed in the details and thus restricting ourselves by following some laws were introduced by people long time ago according to what sounded good for them and decided that this is how music should be done. Then they put theories and laws on that. So we will going to discuss and see all of that. And this will open up your mind to looking at music in a different angle. Sounds are all around us. Natural ones from nature like birds, the ocean waves, the tree leaves, the wind, the thunder, the raindrops. All kinds of wild animals make sounds. And on the other hand, we have artificially created sounds like car horns, your fridge, your alarm bell, people yelling at each other, and the baby crying in the background. And of course, musical instruments. They are artificially created. They just don't exist in nature. So any of these sounds are considered by themselves music? Definitely not. But then again, depends on who you ask. A baby crying is by design an irritating noise to most of us, so we have to go and see what he wants or she wants and make it stop. But for some people, maybe not that much. Although birds or frogs, crickets at night, all those environment sounds might be desirable for some. We even have them playing in our iPods to help us sleep because it's soothing and it allows you to go to sleep. So these are the music of nature, let's say. So is that music? Not necessarily. In general, natural everyday sounds can be pleasing to some people, and for others, it's considered noise pollution. So when does sounds become music to everybody? Until a sound becomes enjoyable, it's considered to be noise. We can't call it music. But sounds that are organized in a way and start to repeat in a certain way organized and repeat, that means have a rhythmic pulse to it, it becomes more acceptable. And we can even maybe start to call it music. So, sounds purposely organized in a rhythmic way. That makes a pattern. So, rhythmic means a pulse, like our hearts, that goes do-dum, do-dum, do-dum. That's starting to have a rhythm, a tempo, as we call it. It's repetitive. So, people start to bang on tree trunks and drumming instruments came to life. People start to clap with that, following a certain pulse, certain tempo. Then we started to have something going on, a rhythm. So we started to have interesting rhythmic things going on, and adding to it some frequencies, people started to chant, to hum, adding a melody line. And by at the beginning imitating maybe birds or sounds they heard before, and then melodies started to come out accompanied by those rhythms. And what do you know? We like that. So somehow this is kind of the birth of music. So we needed rhythm, we needed tempo, and we needed a melody line to start to think, okay, that is music, start to have some musical aspect to it. Although some music pieces, electroacoustic pieces, you might have never heard of that before, but it's the type of music that is sometimes atonal. That means it doesn't follow any melodic, or there's no line that you can hum and follow. But still, they call them pieces of music, pieces of art, sonic art. Yeah, is that music? To some, yes. To some others, just noises organized in a certain way. I don't remember seeing any atonal music or electroacoustic pieces being on the top 20 or on the Billboard or anybody talking about them. So we must agree that for most people, that's not an enjoyable form of art. Maybe misunderstood a little bit by most, but we will avoid that, calling this music, and we'll just concentrate a little bit more on the melody and the rhythm. So a melody line is basically pitches, one after the other, forming some type of a sentence that has a beginning and has an end. Sometimes these sentences, they answer each other and they form phrases. So as long as we can hum them back or sing them back, whether we add vocal meanings to them, meaning words, poetry, or any kind of stories going with those melodies, they are still by themselves without the words. We consider them a melody line. And animals have some melodic lines. I hear the birds all the time having a beautiful sentence, and maybe for them, between the birds, that means something to them. And they have different calls. The whales, of course, you have dolphins making clicking noises and all that. See, we just said noises, because for us, it's not music, but maybe for them, it's their way of talking. Talking is not music. Music is a little bit different. So, in our conclusion for our first part of what is music, is that noises, as long as they have a rhythmic pattern to them, and there's a melodic line going along, we can start to say, okay, we have music. So we will discuss even more on our next episode, second part of what is music, to see what happens when you add a second line. So until then, I hope you enjoyed this episode and see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.